So thank you all for being patient. I want to do a couple things today. I want to talk just a little bit more about our How the Mighty Fall. I flew through that on Friday. Then I want to, in How the Mighty Fall, they talk about one company that kind of was going down and then came back, Nordstrom's. And I want to look at that. Have you ever been to Nordstrom's before? Nice. They have a unique approach to business. And so we're going to watch just a short little thing about them. And then if we have time, I'd like to talk about feedback, because that was a big part of the Biz Lab discussion on Wednesday last week. And understanding how to get feedback and the importance of feedback is really critical to design thinking. So any questions before we get started? There is tea over there. Nothing tastes good to me right now. That's how I was telling someone else. My wife said I had to go to the hospital and couldn't taste coffee anymore and didn't sound good and stuff. So there's some herbal tea and some green tea and stuff if you're interested. So help yourself. Okay, all right. Well, let's get started. I'm actually just going to go through and I just want to touch real quick again on this denial of risk and peril concept, because it's critical to understand this before we go into the next stage of How the Mighty Fall. And I think you can relate to this if you look at sports teams, businesses, governments, churches, schools. I mean, everyone is susceptible to the same cycle. As a matter of fact, everyone's susceptible to hubris born of success. Things are going well. You feel like you're invincible. You feel like, unsinkable. You're making money. You're hitting your plan, whatever it is. And an organization can become very arrogant, and including churches. Undisciplined pursuit of more. It's kind of the natural next step. If there's no one saying, hey, wait, are we staying on mission here? Should we be expanding just to be expanding? There's nothing wrong with, businesses, most of them exist to make a profit, right? You have to make money in a business. So there's nothing wrong with a business pursuing more. It's the undisciplined pursuit of more. And if you're back in the book, it talks about how the undisciplined part is when a business says, we want to be the biggest, whatever. So now business might become the biggest of something, but that should never be the goal, right? It should never be the goal to be the biggest, whatever, because you start making decisions based on that instead of decisions based on good business principles. So being the biggest does not necessarily win. And so undisciplined pursuit of more, of course, is just this outflow of the pride that a business can have. And a lot of times businesses can maintain it for a while, but it eventually does come crashing down. Denial of risk and peril, this is the one we're talking about last class period and today. But when it comes to anything that's going well, and then it starts to kind of taper off, there are always warning signs. So if you're in a business, there are going to be warning signs that things are not going well. And those warning signs usually are enough that you're not going to be totally surprised. It's not like everything's going to come to a grinding halt immediately. It's usually over a long progression. And so some of those warning signs are markers are when businesses amplify the positive and discount the negative. So they look at what's happening in their business, and all the meetings have to be good news meetings. And it's discouraged for anyone to bring up, something that might be a challenge or an issue that could be dragging the business down. So people are viewed as being negative when they're just bringing up what's actually happening. Another one, big bets and bold goals without empirical validation. So basically kind of shooting for something that they might not actually have the ability to achieve. Incurring huge downside risk based on ambiguous data. Again, I talked about that a little bit during our Zoom meeting Friday, but when someone looks at risk, you have to look at not only what the positive is if you win, but you have to look at what is the cost if you lose. And a lot of times people, they only want to look at, well, what's the possibility if we win? Let's not think about losing. And that's not realistic in business. Erosion of healthy team dynamics. That's another marker. Basically, a company starts to surround itself by people that just say what they want to hear instead of people that say what they need to hear. Externalizing blame. So when things do start happening, instead of taking extreme ownership, the leadership starts looking for who to blame. Could be people within the company, could be external factors, but it's definitely not the leader's fault. Obsessive reorganizations, basically politics become a big issue. So the problem is not the problem is the politics. And it's easier to focus on shuffling people around and reacting to things than to deal with the actual problem. And then imperious detachment. Basically the people at the very top, they start to detach themselves from the reality of what's happening in business. They like the benefits, they like the excitement, but they start to totally disconnect from all the ownership of it. So this is, when you look at this chart, this is the peak, right? So a company seems very successful all the way up through this point. So once you get to this point, this is where alarm bells should be going on. And, some of you're going to work in a ministry, for example. And so this is not going to be as big of an issue, because if it's a ministry, what you would hope is that you have a bunch of leaders that are guided by the Holy Spirit. They're going to, be humble, and they have some kind of accountability structure, and everything's going to be good. But if you've been around very long, you know that actually a lot of ministries follow the exact same path that businesses follow. I don't know, have you ever been in a church that's seats 1,000 and they've got like 200, or a Christian school that used to have 800 and now it's basically a group of homeschoolers all meeting together, or a place that's just literally the doors are falling off the hinges, or there's some kind of scandal. This can happen in ministry, and so I don't want you to discount it just because if you think you're going to be in a ministry, but if you're going to be in business, secular business, Christian-owned business, start your own business, you still got to watch out for this stuff. And this can happen on a small scale or a big scale. It's easy to kind of focus on the big companies. That's what this book is all about, right? It's all these huge companies, because there's more data, public data out there. So it's easier for Jim Collins to kind of prove his case with research. But this also applies to small businesses. You could go and start a burger franchise and have the same problem. So where it's going to get interesting is in these next two stages, because it drops off very quickly. And I think stage 4 actually is one of the most interesting discussions. So I think that's probably going to be one of the more interesting chapters you're going to read. So, any comments on this at all before we move on? I know it's a thrilling discussion for Monday morning at 7:18. That's why I also like to show videos. Okay, so let's look at Nordstrom's. So whoever's been in Nordstrom's, give me your description of what you think Nordstrom's is like. What kind of store is it? What are they identified by? Anyone wearing anything from Nordstrom's right now?
Is that, I know Nordstrom Rack just by name, that part of Nordstrom's?
Yeah. Yeah.
Not really.
Nordstrom Rack, yeah, I believe it's their outlet store. Nordstrom's, anyone?
It's really fancy and Because like in Denver and like LA and New York, like people wait on you when you come to the store.
Yeah. So they're known for it's high end, right? So that's why none of us are wearing Nordstrom stuff right now, probably. But it's also high customer service. So you pay for the experience. So Nordstrom's and Walmart are exact opposites in almost every way. So at Walmart, you go in, you plan to pay the cheapest possible price. You don't expect any customer service, and you deal with everything yourself. You just want to get in and get out, spend your little bit of money. Nordstrom's, they valet park your car, get a free cup of coffee, someone will walk around and help you shop. They'll gift wrap every single item you buy, and you don't care how much you pay. And in today's economy where you're competing with Amazon and Walmart, you would think that a Nordstrom's might not be able to make it. But they have now, of course, this book was written a couple years ago, so it'd be interesting to see where we're at today. But Nordstrom's, when it comes to where they were at stock-wise, they went through a massive dip around 2000, and then they came back. But these are things, this is in the appendix of your book. Known for extraordinary customer service, Nordstrom's made its reputation as one of the great retailing companies of the 20th century. The 1990s, company began a long slide and took dramatic downturn in 2000, with same store sales actually declining from 2000 and 2006. Nordstrom strongly recovered, and with fourth generation family member Blake Nordstrom assumed leadership and refocused on the primary flywheel that had made the company great in the first place, the customer service professional sales flywheel, while substantially improving background systems such as inventory controls. And then kind of talks about all these different things that basically Nordstrom's did. And they confronted the brutal facts, for example. They confronted the fact that Nordstrom had strayed from its obsessive culture of customer service and it badly needed to upgrade to its basic systems, in particular through tying inventory systems to point of sale systems. Put $200 million into a perpetual inventory system so that Nordstrom could both reduce inventory costs and increase chances the salesperson could easily locate the exact item that the customer desired. And they took on the hedgehog concept, which is a very popular discussion in business. Rediscovered the company's core concept that it could be the best department store chain in the world in creating a relationship between salesperson and the customer. The recovery was based on a simple, elegant idea. Get back to building lasting relationships with customers by supporting individual sales professionals with vastly improved background systems, and thereby improve core economic measures by return on invested capital. So, and then they became very disciplined in their culture. Blake Nordstrom focused on small but meaningful steps, not big dramatic moves. He confronted the failure of the $40 million Reinvent Yourself campaign. And so basically, you know, they kind of owned up to things. So everything that we're talking about here, these markers, Blake Nordstrom recognized them and started to turn them around. And that's pretty cool. And so what we're going to do is I want to watch a short little video about Nordstrom's here. I'm going to ask you each to just give a comment on this after this is over. around the room here. How do you honestly feel about, let's put this in context of this class. Let's say you're gonna work on a project. You're gonna do something for design thinking. You're gonna put a lot of time and energy into it and come up with something creative, some problem to solve. And then I'm gonna have you stand in front of the class and present it, and we're just gonna have open season. Anyone can give you any feedback they want. Honestly, how do you feel about that? Like, what does that make you feel like when you hear that scenario? We'll just go around the room and start with Jerry.
So the worry for me it's not how I'm going to feel or what little areas they pick apart. It's the questioning of the overall idea. Because once I commit and believe in something, and other people haven't gone through the process of realizing it the same way that I have, and then they think that it's not a viable idea, I think it's not good, that's what, really does affect me. Just because, you put so much time and effort into something, but mainly if you just really sell out to it and you believe in it,
right,
and it really becomes a passion of yours, and then people are like, well, I appreciate the effort, but I think the idea is flawed, then it's just like crushing.
Yeah. Max, what about you?
I think something that would be a concern for me, and I even heard a lot in what he was saying, is just fear of man. Because that can touch a lot of areas of life, but if you're going up and sharing something like Jared said that you've invested a lot of time in, you care about what they think, and that can really govern how you respond. And so just the fear of that, but also having to recognize that in my own heart and submit to that.
Joe?
So like they said, just after putting so much time and effort into something, I feel like it'd be very disheartening to hear people say bad things about it. And I feel like I don't know where I'd go afterwards. Like, oh, I just had this amazing idea that I thought was amazing, and now it's all gone. Now what do I do? Like, where do you go from there? And would you even try to make another idea if everybody shot it down? Like, maybe I just don't have any good ideas.
All right. Yeah.
I think it'd be like a certain struggle of like almost pride in the fact that you took the time to invest in it and study it and everything, and then people who just heard about it for 5 minutes are acting like they're the experts on it. It's hard to respect it when they maybe haven't even really studied it out. They're just giving off the wing emotional responses or reactions.
Yeah. Chrissy?
I think, like, for me, it really depends on who said it and how they said it, and like genuinely love and care about the person. It's going to be a lot easier to take from someone that I don't know or respect. I think it'd be a good thing because you're getting unbiased opinions from people. You know that they're going to be honest about what you're presenting, but at the same time, I know for me it'd be hard because I know that I have a lot of things that mean a lot to me that I know probably don't mean a lot to someone else. So if there's a way that I want to get it done, I think I talk to people that would give me unbiased opinions, but that would also help me try to figure out how to get those things done.
What do you think?
I think for me, it motivates me to do as much research and provide them with enough information to make an accurate decision about what I'm presenting. Because I feel like if you don't give them enough information, then you take their feedback negatively, and it's like kind of on your fault as well, because like they're just giving their honest opinion, and you can't fault them for not understanding something that you should have clarified or could have clarified. So it's also just taking it, like people have said, just constructively. Like they're not trying to attack you personally, at least I hope not. But they're trying to just give you feedback in order to help you improve, which is what they're asking you to do anyway.
Okay.
I think like it depends on the situation. Like if somebody's giving you feedback just to like tear you down, I wouldn't like that kind of a situation. But in this kind of a setting where they're just giving you feedback to try to help you, I think that would be motivating because it's just a different angle of looking at your project. Like you're set on looking at it this one way, you really don't have the eyes of everybody else. That really helps you diversify your research project.
Yeah, I think if in this here, I mean, I wouldn't like to hear anything negative, but recognizing that what I think whatever isn't necessarily perfect. Like I trust and respect everyone here. And I know that we've created a culture where we try to help each other do the best that we can and not tearing each other down just for the fun of it. So I would really listen to what people
say that the constructive feedback would be good because sometimes you're looking at a project from one angle and it's from yours. And so if other people can kind of shine the light a little bit further into the room and help you see, oh yeah, that works, but this could be a little bit better way of doing it. I think that is awesome. But I know personally with the feedback system, there are negative people that have nothing good to say. So outside of this setting, I think it'd be harder for me to not take stuff personally, especially if there's people in the room that I know don't like me, I don't like them. So that'd be like the struggle with it. But I think feedback's very important because it can help you get those outside edges rounded out.
Yeah. Well, and so this one topic of feedback as we wrap up ties in all three things that this class has been about. So we talked about denial of risk and peril. One of the things that's a marker for organizations and leaders to start to go down that path is that they stop listening to all types of feedback. They only want the positive. So, and then in design thinking, feedback loops are part of the whole process from the very beginning. And so I guess the way to overcome the anxiety that comes with getting feedback is getting it more often and earlier, right? So if you do a project and you bring it in here and you present it, and this is a safe place, right? So we all, are open, we can disagree, we can, it'll never get personal with this group. But if you were to get feedback all along the way, so you're working on your project and, before you even have your rough draft, you run it by a couple people that can give you some honest feedback to make sure that what you're falling in love with actually meets the need of what you're trying to accomplish, right? And then, because, yeah, you will take it personal if you get way, way, way down the road and you're totally invested in this thing and it's not actually what everyone else was expecting it to be. So the feedback loops, that's where in design thinking, when Jeff and Carlos were talking last Wednesday about, you're constantly getting feedback. And it's a discipline that you have to have when you're trying to solve problems, when you're trying to be innovative, right? There are a lot of, well thought out, beautiful inventions that don't actually solve a problem or meet a need, right? Or they're redundant. I knew someone that was designing an app to help people know where to eat in a certain town. Well, there happen to be like 500 apps like that already. Google being, dominating all that, but so many different ones. And I was like, so, what's the big deal with your app? Well, ours specifically will tell you, what to order when you get there. It's like, and I didn't want to shoot it down, but on the other hand, obviously it's something they're passionate about, but they didn't get any feedback. And it never went anywhere. They put a ton of time into it, but never went anywhere at all. So feedback's very important. And so I just want to at least get the idea of feedback in our brains before Wednesday's class, because it's going to be part of the final discussion with the Biz Lab guys. And then when we go into doing a project or design thinking, feedback's got to be part of, you just got to be ready for that. So, but feedback doesn't have to be a negative. Feedback can actually be a positive. And I did appreciate this guy's, looking, kind of helping. If you're the one providing feedback, you're kind of holding up a mirror for someone. You're not just telling them what you see. You're trying to get them to see things about themselves, provoking insight, basically. And it can be a partnership, not a trial. So I think that's a good thing about feedback. So, okay, that's it for today. We will, Wednesday, I believe what we're going to do is we're just going to do the class. We'll all be here, but we'll zoom in with Jeff and Carlos, someone else. So I'll figure that out by Wednesday, but we'll all just be here, okay? And then to kind of, once we get past this next week or two, we might do something with them. We might go over there, all go over for coffee or something like that, just to kind of reconnect with them. But it's, the whole idea was to get over there, but COVID and everything, this is what we got. Okay, see you guys later. Thank you.